This podcast is brought to you by The Senior Techie, a source of information for seniors and others about technology. You know, it really does feel like magic sometimes, doesn't it? You walk into a room and the lights just know to turn on.
It is incredible.
Or you're sitting in your favorite chair, feeling a bit chilly, and the thermostat just adjusts itself. You don't have to get up.
It's the kind of future we always saw in science fiction. And for a lot of people, especially as we get older, these aren't just toys. They are genuine tools for accessibility.
Oh, absolutely.
Being able to lock the front door with your voice or, see who's ringing the bell without having to rush. That changes the game for aging in place.
It really does. It's convenient. It's helpful. But, and there is always a but, isn't there?
Unfortunately, yes, there usually is.
It raises a really critical question that I think we often forget to ask in all the excitement. You know, when you're setting up a new gadget,
What's that?
who else is listening or watching?
That is the question. And it's pretty much the central theme of what we're digging into today.
So today we are looking at some really eye-opening information from the Senior Techie about smart home security. And I want to be clear right off the bat. The Senior Techie makes a point to say the goal here isn't to scare you.
Not at all.
We're not telling you to unplug everything and go back to candlelight.
No, that would be a step backward. The goal is empowerment. The Senior Techie makes a very strong point that, look, you can't eliminate every single risk. That's just life. But you can significantly reduce your vulnerability with some pretty straightforward steps.
It's about being smart about your smart home.
Exactly.
And this is so relevant for our audience. As you said, seniors are often the biggest beneficiaries of this tech.
All right.
Video doorbells, voice assistants that can call for help.
Right, but that also makes seniors a prime target for privacy intrusions if these things aren't set up correctly.
That's the part we need to talk about. To understand the risk, we have to look at what the Senior Techie calls the problem nobody talks about enough. Okay, so let's unpack this. What is the core problem? Because to me, a thermostat is, well, it's just a thermostat.
It used to be. I mean, think about an old school thermostat. It was a dial on the wall. It wasn't talking to anyone.
It was an island.
It was a total island. But smart devices are connected to the internet constantly, 24/7. That's how they work. But that connection, it's a two-way street.
So unlike that old dial, these are entry points.
Precisely. Every single device is a potential door into your digital life. And the Senior Techie points out this isn't just about some hacker in a hoodie trying to steal your banking password.
It's usually more subtle.
Much more subtle. It's about data collection.
Yeah, that part in the material really stood out to me. How these devices are just collecting data on our daily habits, our schedules.
And think about what that actually means. It's all about inference. So if your smart lights turn off every night at 10 p.m. and your smart lock engages at 10:05, what does that tell a data algorithm?
It tells them I'm asleep.
Exactly. It reveals when you're home, when you're not home, when you're sleeping. And if you have smart cameras or voice assistants, it can even infer what you're discussing in your living room. It builds a whole pattern of life.
That is a little unsettling. And the material mentions specific issues with cameras and voice assistants, right?
It does. Cameras can be accessed remotely if they aren't properly secured. And voice assistants. Well, they're designed to listen for a wake word, but sometimes they hear things that aren't there.
I have had that happen. I'm talking about something totally different, and suddenly the speaker lights up.
It's a false positive. And because all these devices are interconnected, that data often gets shared with third parties.
Ah, the chain reaction.
Yes. You buy a device from company A, but they share data with company B, who sells analytics to company C. You might not have any idea where your information is actually going.
Okay, so we get it. The invisible risks are real. Let's talk about how we lock the doors. The Senior Techie says the Wi-Fi network is the digital front door.
This is absolutely the foundation. If someone gets into your Wi-Fi, they can potentially control every connected device in the house. It's like handing over the master key.
So where do we start? What's step one?
Router hygiene.
Router hygiene. It sounds like something I need a special brush for.
Chuckles. It's much less painful, I promise. It starts with the basics, your login details. The Senior Techie says you have to change the router's default name and password immediately.
This is a big one. I think a lot of people just use the password that's printed on the sticker on the back of the box.
Everyone does. And it looks complicated, so you assume it's safe. But it's so dangerous. Hackers have databases of all those default passwords. They can guess it in seconds.
So you change it to something unique. And while you're in there, you check the encryption settings.
Yep. That sounds technical, but it's usually just a drop-down menu.
What are we looking for?
You want to see WPA3 if your router is fairly new. If not, WPA2 is the absolute minimum. Think of it like a secret code that scrambles all your information.
Got it. WPA3 or 2. Now here is where it gets really interesting. The senior techie has this strategy that I had never even considered. The guest network.
This is one of the best, most practical tips in the whole document, and it's surprisingly easy. Most modern routers let you create a second network, right? Usually called a guest network.
Right, for when friends come over so they don't get on your main Wi-Fi.
Exactly. But you're not going to use it for friends. You're going to use it for your things.
My things.
Your smart bulbs, your smart fridge, your thermostat, your video doorbell. All of it goes on the guest network.
Okay, why? What's the benefit there?
It quarantines them. It puts them in a separate bubble. So if your, say, cheap smart light bulb gets compromised, the attacker is stuck in that bubble. They can't get to your main network.
Where I keep my computer and my phone and where I do my banking.
Precisely. They're stuck in the lobby. They can't get into the VIP lounge where all your important stuff is. It's a firewall between the vulnerable things and the critical things.
That is just brilliant. It's like a digital velvet rope.
It really is. And for seniors who might have grandkids visiting with all their tablets and phones, putting them on the guest network is also a very smart move.
Great point. Okay, so the network is secure. Now, what about the devices themselves? The senior techie points out that not all smart gadgets are created equal. When I'm shopping, what should I be looking for?
You've got to do a little bit of homework. And the senior techie says the first place to look is the privacy policy.
Oh, come on. Nobody reads the privacy policy. It's pages of tiny legal text.
I know. But you don't have to read every single word. You're just scanning for clarity. If the policy is super vague about what data they collect or who they share it with, that is a huge red flag.
So if they can't explain it simply, they're probably hiding something.
You got it. You also want to look for a specific phrase, end-to-end encryption.
Okay, unpack that for us.
The best analogy is sending a letter. Unencrypted data is like sending your letter in a clear plastic bag. Anyone who handles it can read it. End-to-end encryption is like putting that letter in a locked steel box that only you and the recipient have the key for. Even if someone steals it in transit, it's just a useless box to them. They can't read what's inside.
Steel box versus plastic bag. I like that. Now, the material also mentions Zigbee or Z-Wave. What are those?
Chuckles. They're not a new dance craze. They are just alternative ways for devices to talk to each other.
So, not Wi-Fi.
Right. Think of your Wi-Fi as a crowded, noisy room. Zigbee and Z-Wave are like a private whisper network in the corner. These devices connect to a central hub, not directly to your Wi-Fi.
Which provides another layer of separation.
Exactly. It keeps them off your main Wi-Fi, which is better for security, and frankly, it can even make your regular Wi-Fi faster.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've bought the right device, we bring it home, we plug it in. What's the very first mistake people make?
Accepting the default settings. The senior techie literally calls default settings the enemy.
But why? Wouldn't the manufacturer set it up to work best?
They set it up to work the flashiest. They enable every single feature by default to show off what it can do. But that almost always means maximum data collection and minimum privacy.
So we need to dive right into the settings menu.
Immediately. And the senior techie says to look for things like voice recording storage. Disable it unless you absolutely need it. And if you do, delete old recordings regularly.
And then there's location data. I love the example from the source. A smart thermostat might need your location to know when you're coming home. That makes sense.
It does. But a smart light bulb, it absolutely does not need to know your GPS coordinates to turn on and off.
So if an app asks for permission, that doesn't make sense for what the device does.
Turn it off. It's just data grabbing. It's all about just asking why. Why does a flashlight app need my contacts? It doesn't. Deny.
Okay, let's talk about maintenance, the part that feels like chores. Updates.
The updates.
I hate them. I just want to use the device, not watch a progress bar.
Everyone feels that way. But you have to reframe it. The senior techie compares it to fixing a broken lock on your front door.
Okay.
Manufacturers release these updates to patch security holes they've found. If you don't install the update, you're just leaving that broken lock on your door for anyone to exploit.
So the advice is to enable automatic updates whenever you can.
Absolutely. Set it and forget it. But some older devices don't have that feature.
So for those, you have to check manually.
You do. The senior techie suggests setting a quarterly reminder, first day of the season, something like that. Just go through your apps and check. It's a little bit of digital housekeeping.
Let's talk about locking it down. Access control. The senior techie says everyone in the house should have their own login.
Right. Instead of one shared account for everything, it's just better for security. But the really big one here is passwords.
Don't reuse passwords. We hear it all the time, but it's so tempting.
It is. But if you use the same password for your smart doorbell account that you use for your email, and the doorbell company gets hacked.
Then the hackers have the key to my email.
Yeah.
And my bank.
Everything. You have to use strong, unique passwords. And please, please, set up two-factor authentication, that's 2FA, wherever it's offered.
That's where they send a code to your phone to prove it's you.
Correct. It's a second layer of defense. So even if a thief steals your password, they can't get in without also having your phone. It's a game changer.
Now, here's a scenario from the senior techie that's very relevant for seniors. You have caregivers, or a house sitter, or maybe a repair person coming over.
And you can give them a temporary code for the smart lock, which is great. It's so much safer than a key under the mat. But when they're done, you must revoke that access immediately. Don't just leave that digital door open forever.
Right. Review who has access every so often.
Exactly. The plumber who came 3 months ago shouldn't still have a working code for your front door. It's just about maintaining good digital boundaries.
Okay, so we've done all this. We're set up. We're updating. How do we know if something is actually wrong?
You have to be a little bit vigilant. The senior techie says to watch for unusual behavior.
Like my toaster starts talking to me.
Chuckles, maybe not that obvious. But let's say your security camera normally uses a tiny bit of data. Suddenly, you notice it's uploading huge amounts of data at 3 in the morning.
That's suspicious.
Very suspicious. That could mean it's been hijacked and is streaming video somewhere it shouldn't be.
So doing a little security audit now and then is a good idea.
Yes. Just look at the list of devices connected to your Wi-Fi. If you see something you don't recognize, kick it off immediately.
We have covered a ton of ground. I want to circle back to something the senior techie said near the end of the material. It was a reality check.
The reality is that perfect security just doesn't exist.
It sounds a little discouraging.
It shouldn't be. It's just a fact. Every connected device is a risk. But, driving a car is a risk. We don't stop driving. We just learn the rules of the road and wear a seatbelt.
So it's about making informed decisions.
Exactly that. You weigh the convenience against the privacy. Maybe a voice assistant in the kitchen is worth it to you. But maybe you decide you don't want one in your bedroom. That's a perfectly valid choice.
And as the senior techie says, you don't need to be a cybersecurity expert to do this. These are all doable things.
They really are. And once they're done, you can go back to enjoying the magic. Your smart home should make your life easier, not harder. For seniors, these tools can provide real safety and connection. We just have to make sure the foundation is solid.
Absolutely. It's about using the tools, not letting the tools use you. So to sum it all up, we need to segregate our networks, update our firmware regularly, and maybe be just a little more suspicious of that smart light bulb.
Just a little.
Before we sign off, I'd like to leave everyone with a final thought from our expert.
Well, we're inviting these devices into the most intimate spaces in our lives, our homes. They hear us, they see us, they know our routines. So if your house is listening to you, are you absolutely sure you know who it's talking to? It might be worth checking those settings one more time.
A proactive thought to end on. This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to keep up with their newsletters, you can subscribe for free by going to theseniortechie.com. Thanks for listening.